The reenactments and commentary in this program may contain frank talk of a sexual nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's trivia time, folks. Who was the first Jackson to take the stand in Santa Maria? Michael? LaToya? Jesse? Nope. But if you guess Simone, Michael Jackson's 16-year-old cousin, you deserve to win an autographed photograph of Bubbles the Chimp. Hello, I'm James Curtis, and welcome to E's coverage of the Michael Jackson trial. Michael Jackson appeared to be just a bit impatient, you like that, Howard, as he went through the security check at the Santa Maria courthouse. Now, before we hear from the pop star's young cousin, we have testimony from a man named Angel Vivano. He is, as you will recall from yesterday, a former chef's assistant at Neverland. Under questioning by defense attorney Robert Sanger, the witness recalls taking a rather unusual order from the accuser and his brother. Here's what the jurors heard according to the courtroom transcripts.
Okay, tell us about that occasion when one of the boys asked you to prepare an alcohol drink.
He was at the bar in the kitchen.
Do you remember which one it was, Star or Gavin?
It was Star.
All right. And what did Star say to you?
He asked me to make him a milkshake.
All right.
And I made it for him, and he pointed at the cabinets full of liquor, and he pointed out one of the bottles and asked me to pour some in the milkshake.
Okay, what was in the bottle?
Liquor.
Okay, do you remember which kind?
It was a Mexican kind. It was called Jimador.
He was asking you to put that in the milkshake?
Yes.
All right. Did you do that?
Yes.
You put the alcohol in the milkshake?
Yes.
Okay. Before you put it in the milkshake, did Star say anything to you?
Yes.
What did he say?
He told me if I didn't do it, he would tell Michael and I would get fired.
So then you put the alcohol in the milkshake?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember if Gavin ever swore at you?
Oh, yes.
What did he do?
I'll object as irrelevant.
He just swore at me.
I'll object as irrelevant.
Overruled. You may answer.
He just swore at me, asking for some Cheetos or saying...
You can say it. Tell us what he said.
Give me the Cheetos. That's what he said.
Next, a moment of terror or just some childish behavior.
Okay, now, was there an incident that occurred with Star in the kitchen involving a knife?
Yes.
And can you tell us about that?
I was serving some guests in the bar some food, and he was helping us that day to cook.
Star was in there helping you in the kitchen area?
Yes, he asked to help, so we let him. I was serving a plate to one of the guests, and he had a knife like 1 inch on my neck.
Okay, what kind of a knife was it?
It was a kitchen knife.
Do you recall about how big it was?
It was 9 inches or a foot long. It was a foot.
A foot?
Yes.
What was the knife for? What kind of a knife was it?
It was to cut meat.
Did you keep that pretty sharp in your kitchen?
Yes.
And you said he had it about 1 inch from your neck. What was he doing with it when he put it 1 inch from your neck?
He just had it holding up onto my neck, and I didn't realize it until one of the guests yelled at Star saying, "What are you doing?"
All right, so you told him to put the knife down, and he did.
Yes.
You never felt threatened by that?
No, not really.
And you never felt scared of him?
No.
He was a 12-year-old kid playing around, right?
Yes.
Did you report that incident to Michael Jackson?
No.
Did you report the incident to Michael Jackson of Gavin using an obscene word?
No.
Did you report it to anybody?
I told my coworkers about it.
Did you report to Michael Jackson that the kids were drinking alcohol?
No.
All right, so we have Angel Vivano, a former chef's assistant, testifying to two rather significant incidents on the behalf of the defense. Let's just outline this before you get taken off. I know you're revving to go, Sean. We've got the booze milkshake incident. We've got the effing Cheetos incident. And we've got a knife. Go.
Yes. Now, it's important, I think, for the defense to show what these kids are really about, because the prosecution has portrayed them as well-mannered, angelic, nice, believable kids. And now we see another side. And beyond that, the jurors have to ask themselves, are these the kind of boys that would sit by meekly as Michael Jackson is molesting one of them?
But aren't these the kind of kids, Ricky Kleeman, Howard Weitzman, as we all know from our practice dealing with kids who are molested? the good kids, the angelic kids, aren't usually the ones. The kids who are troubled are more likely to be victims.
Well, it's not so much that the kids are troubled who are more likely to be victims. It's kids who come from dysfunctional families that happen to encounter predators who are likely to be victims.
Sure.
In this case, however, though, the prosecution did set it up. The prosecution was saying these kids were okay until Michael Jackson corrupted them. So that's why the defense has a right to knock it down.
Well, you know what? The prosecution presented this family as a unit. And what's interesting is this witness had a quasi, whatever that means, sexual affair, we're told, with the daughter. And also the daughter, the sister, told him that the mother had something big, in a negative sense, planned for Michael Jackson. Now, the jury didn't hear it, which is unfortunate, because it would have gone directly to the credibility of the unit.
And interesting that this daughter is about 16 years old, and this guy looks a tad older than 16. Now, on to a new witness, whatever that's worth. A new witness takes the stand. Her name, Irene Peters, a social worker from L.A. County's Department of Family and Children and Family Services, rather. Defense attorney Tom Mesro asked her about an interview she conducted with the accuser's mother after the Bashir documentary hit the air.
Did she respond to your description of the allegation?
Yes, she did.
What did she tell you?
She said that Michael's been like a father to her children, that she was very upset about it, that he's been very good to her children. He's more than their father had ever been. She said she was totally appalled by all the negative attention that her children had been receiving since the Bashir document tape. And she was upset. She was upset because she was saying that she doesn't have any consent to have her children be on TV, and she was upset with Mr. Bashir.
Okay. Did she ever say anything negative about Michael Jackson?
No, she didn't.
Did she ever say anything that suggested Michael Jackson had abused her children?
No, she did not.
Okay. She only praised him, right?
Yes.
Now, what other questions did you ask Ms. during your interview?
I asked what usually happens when you go to Neverland, and she told me that when she goes to Neverland, that the kids are usually in the house, and sometimes this is another house that she's in. And she's usually very aware of what's always goes on there because she's very vigilant. She has a vigilant eye. And the kids play video games and watch TV. And I asked her, had the kids ever been in Michael Jackson's room on his bed? She said, yes, they have. She said, because the house is really big. The room is really big, and the kids all play in the room. But she's aware of what goes on there.
Okay. And did she complain about anything that went on in Mr. Jackson's room?
No, she did not.
Did she ever say anything bad went on in Mr. Jackson's room?
No, she did not.
Is it just me, or was it a moment ago that this witness sounded like she was going to say the big house? We'll talk about that more as we continue. More details about life inside Neverland.
Any other questions that you asked her that you haven't identified?
I asked her about the relationship between she and Michael Jackson, and that's when she went on to say that he was like a father to her children, and that she thinks that he was responsible for helping Gavin to survive his cancer, for his cancer to be in remission.
Anything else you recall asking her in that interview?
I asked basically the same questions to each one of them.
Okay, let's move
I did ask her, was she aware that that the kids ever slept in the bed with Michael Jackson? And she told me no, that never happened.
Okay. And did she tell you what she does at Neverland when she stays there?
She says watch movies and be in the park, and sometimes she's in the house. And she's usually walking up all night long. She says kind of busy.
Did any member of the family say they were being falsely imprisoned at Neverland?
No, they did not.
Did they say anything about their even wanting to go back to Neverland, if you know?
You know what? She did ask me. She wanted to know if I could have the interview at Neverland, the interview we were having, because she had requested that prior to me actually talking to her.
She wanted you to travel with the family to Neverland for the interview?
She did suggest that.
Okay, and what was your reaction to that?
No. I need to see where they were living.
Timing, James.
Timing, Howard.
You always talk about the timeline. Yeah. This interview took place after the Bashir documentary, after the rebuttal, after the false imprisonment, after the molestation.
No.
Almost, you were so good up until that point.
In fact, it's exactly what the prosecution says as to what their timeline is that he was not molested yet. And that when he talks to this social worker, that in fact he was still in a state of innocence.
Exactly.
And it's after this, so he wasn't lying to the social worker.
That's what they say. You have to listen to the testimony.
And with regard to the false imprisonment claim, though, if you believe this witness, then the false imprisonment claim is a big lie.
That's true.
That's true.
That's true.
That's true if you believe this witness, but let's not forget, while this interview was being conducted, two really big men, apparently bodyguards belonging to Jackson, along with some other folks, were in the residence, even though it was not at Michael Jackson's estate when we return. Where's Tito? Where's Janet? And how about LaToya? Well, we don't really know, but another Jackson family member did testify in Santa Maria. Find out who it is when we return. Stay with us.
The reenactments and commentary in this program may contain frank talk of a sexual nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back. Los Angeles County social worker Irene Peters interviewed the accuser's family weeks after the Bashir documentary. Under questioning by defense attorney Tom Mesro, the witness recalls what the accuser, Gavin, told her about the King of Pop. Here's what the jurors heard according to the courtroom transcripts.
How long do you think your interview with Gavin lasted?
About 30 minutes.
Are there typical questions that you would ask a 13-year-old in your work?
Yes. I did ask him, had he ever been touched sexually, inappropriately at any time? He says, and he became a little upset. He says, everybody thinks that Michael Jackson sexually abused me. He's never touched me. And he was very upset about it.
Okay. Did he ever complain about anything Michael Jackson had ever done?
No, he did not.
Okay. Did he continually praise Michael Jackson to you?
Yes, he did.
Did he ever complain about anything that was going on at Neverland?
No, he did not.
Okay. And what was his demeanor as you were interviewing him?
Kind of playful, appeared to enjoy the attention. Very articulate, very smart kid.
Okay. Now, typically, after you conduct the interview with the family, which you, of course, did on the 20th of February, 2003, what do you typically do next in your investigation?
I make a decision based on the information that's gathered.
And did you make a decision at some point?
I had to. Yeah, I made a decision.
What was your decision?
On the 27th of February, that the allegations for general neglect of mother, Janet, the allegations of sexual abuse by Michael Jackson were unfounded at that time, based on the information received.
All right, and emphatically so. So, did the social worker find evidence? No, no abuse, no neglect, according to what she just said. But did she hear the accuser's mother talk about that sinister-sounding trip to South America?
And did she tell you anything about the tutoring that was going on?
She just said that she had to go to tutoring because the kids had missed so much school dealing with the whole issue with the video. I mean, the broadcast and everything about the Bashir, that they missed so much school and she didn't have any money, and that she did tell me that Michael wanted to send them to Brazil somewhere.
Okay.
And she didn't want to go. She didn't know any people there, and she was disgusted. And she hadn't, as a matter of fact, she told me she hadn't seen him.
Did she say words to the effect, I don't want to go to that dump, meaning Brazil?
Yes.
I don't want to go to that dump. Unfortunately, Ricky, sounds more like I'd rather go to a nicer place on vacation as opposed to I don't want to go there because they're forcing me to be held against my will.
Of course, though they're not necessarily inconsistent. But certainly what Mr. Mesro wants and the defense wants is for it to sound that way.
And certainly, though, the idea, Sean Howard, that this whole, as you just pointed out a moment ago, issue of false imprisonment and kidnapping seems to be falling. Will the other counts suffer if these first counts fall?
Well, and that's really the point. If you believe this witness, then, as I said before, the false imprisonment claim is a lie. And you have to ask yourself, can you believe anything that this witness says? Because she's lied about the false imprisonment claim if you believe this witness and others.
Does it affect the remaining molestation
The answer
counts?
to your question is yes. It affects credibility, and this case is about credibility. Who do you believe? You know, again, the timeline makes, in my opinion, everything questionable here.
And don't forget, and it will not apparently, or it might actually come before these jurors, that timeline shifted just a bit, was that for the convenience of the prosecution's case. On cross-examination of this social worker, District Attorney Tom Stanton brings up the female factor.
Let me try it under another phrase then. Are you familiar with the fact, as a result of your training with the department to investigate allegations of child abuse, are you familiar with the fact that children don't always disclose on the first visit by somebody?
Of course. Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it comes in a serial fashion, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, and you're also familiar from the same training that it's unlikely that a teenage boy is going to tell another female adult that he's been molested in the presence of his mother, correct?
That could be one of the things, yeah.
That was one of the things you were taught, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, in fact, the day that you were there talking to Gavin and asking him questions about whether he was inappropriately touched by Mr. Jackson, other than his younger brother Starr, everybody in the room was a female, correct?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Doesn't want to disclose to a female. I don't know if I've heard that one before, but seems to be a good point nonetheless. Now Team Jackson calls the first family member of the Jackson clan to the stand, 16-year-old cousin Simone. Under questioning by defense attorney Tom Mesereau, the teen recalls the accuser's late-night kitchen raid.
Okay. What did you see Gavin and Starr do in the kitchen at 1 o'clock in the morning during March of 2003?
I saw them take wine.
And when you say you saw them take wine, did you see one of them take it or both?
Both of them. They each had a bottle.
And were they in the kitchen with the bottles?
Yes.
Did you see them actually take the bottle from some location?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Did you walk into the kitchen and see them with these two bottles?
They didn't. They didn't see me. I was sitting to the side. They didn't see me when they came in.
And you saw Gavin and Starr come into the main house?
Yes.
Did you see them go into the kitchen area?
Yes.
And did you actually watch them grab these two bottles of wine?
Yes.
What did you see them do? How did they grab the wine?
They just grabbed it and they both got well, Starr got a wine bottle, a wine glass, and Gavin just took the bottle.
Okay. And what else did you see them do?
They left.
Okay. Did you know which direction they went when they left?
They went through the back door.
Okay. And when was the last time you saw them that evening?
I didn't see them after that.
The first of the Jackson clan, but I don't want to talk about her just yet. Let's get back to that final bit of questioning of this social worker. I think that the prosecution scored some points there with respect to these young boys, if molested, don't want to disclose.
Of course they don't want to disclose. We have expert testimony that they don't want to disclose, and I think it's common sense that young boys do not want to disclose an act of molestation by a man. And so I think that that testimony rings true. Also, we have the issue of whether we believe this witness's testimony. All she is a reporter. She reports what the mom said. She reports what the children said. So we're still back to whether we believe the family.
And furthermore, wait, but you got to deal with this issue, don't you, Sean?
I'm going to.
Furthermore, on cross-examination, we didn't hear this part, no follow-up to verify any of the statements that the parents or the kids say.
But this witness also goes one step further by saying that Gavin went out of his way to say, I get mad that people keep accusing Michael Jackson of molesting me. I get angry about that.
But
I mean, he goes
isn't
further.
that in itself consistent with a child having been molested? The anger that comes out when they're confronted with it when they don't want to disclose.
No. This witness does something so important. She reports a conversation post-Bashir, post-rebuttal, post-false imprisonment.
Pre-molestation.
No, that's your version.
Well,
the molestation line changes, and last and not least...
Hold that thought. Gotta go. You can
you don't have to go. Pre-lawyer.
I do have to go. So I have to go. When we return, we'll give Howard a calm down pill. And we move on to the booze raid, the mysterious trip to Brazil, as Simone Jackson continues to testify. Stay with us.
The reenactments and commentary in this program may contain frank talk of a sexual nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back. As the direct examination of Michael Jackson's cousin continues, Simone Jackson takes us back to the Cabernet caper in the Neverland kitchen. And she makes a rather startling claim about a conversation with Gavin's sister. Here's what the jury heard according to the courtroom transcripts.
Okay. When you saw Gavin and Star grab the wine, did you say anything to them?
After they saw me, they had seen me, I told them that they weren't supposed to do that. And they told me to be quiet and not to say anything.
Okay. And was that the only discussion you had with them that evening?
Yes.
All right. Did you ever see them with wine any other time?
No.
Is that the only time?
Yes.
All right. Do you recall ever discussing with Davelin a possible trip to Brazil?
Yes.
How did that topic come up?
She just told me one day out of the blue that she had to go to Brazil, and I probably wouldn't see her again.
Okay. Did she say anything about whether or not her mom wanted to go to Brazil?
Yeah. She said her mom wanted to go.
I'm going to object as hearsay.
Overruled. You may answer.
Excuse me, Simone, what did you say?
Her mom wanted to go.
Davelin said her mom wanted to go to Brazil.
Yes.
Want to go to Brazil, don't want to go to Brazil, no, Howard, you don't get to say anything else. You used all your time. Sean, where are we at now?
Well, I think that we've all said this time and time again. This all comes down to credibility, and the defense seems to be doing a good job of impeaching whatever credibility this family had during the prosecution's case, if they had any left.
Ricky?
Well, I think there's even problems, though, with Simone's testimony. I'll give her credit for being a youngster. But at one point, she says they didn't see her at all. They couldn't see her. At another point, she's saying, well, they must have seen her, and then they told her to be quiet. So every witness who comes up here who is trying to show us one side of this family or one side of Michael Jackson seems to somewhere along the line have a problem.
Is this train still on the tracks, Howard? Yes or no?
That's what reasonable doubt is all about.
See, I knew we couldn't do it. That's it for today. But we continue our Santa Maria Celebrity Watch. Larry King, Jay Leno, Chris Tucker. Join us tomorrow evening, 7:30 p.m. for our exclusive coverage of the Michael Jackson trial right here